The federal government had on Monday announced plans to implement the Oronsaye report, which proposes the merger of ministries, departments, and agencies as a measure to cut the cost of governance. Former President Goodluck Jonathan had in 2012 set up the Presidential Committee on Rationalization and Restructuring of the Federal Government Parastatals, Commissions, and Agencies. The committee, headed by former head of Civil Service of the Federation, Steve Oronsaye, recommended the scrapping and merging of 220 out of the then existing 541 government agencies.
Committee would look at the administrative restructuring and also the legislative amendments required to ensure the full implementation of the recommendations. The other aspects of recommendations that have also been passed to the committee to relook at. It's important for us to appreciate the bold approval granted by Mr. President at the Federal Executive Council. This has been a recommendation that has been, I think, in the Nigerian discourse from 2012. We're here in 2024 and it's so been approved, and the aspects that are applicable to mergers, as I said, subsuming and scrapping and relocation of agencies, are those that have been so considered, arising from the totality of the panel report.
Moving a motion of urgent public importance on the floor of the House of Representatives on Thursday, the trio of Kema, Ikem Kama, Olumide Osoba, and Gaza Gbafi noted that the Oronsaye report recommended the reduction of statutory agencies from 363 to 161, the abolition of 38 agencies, and the revision of 14 agencies to departments in ministries, and the management audit of 89 agencies, capturing biometric features of staff, as well as the discontinuation of government funding of professional bodies and councils. The lawmakers said if implemented, the government will be saving over 862 billion naira between 2012 and 2015, with a breakdown which showed that about 124.8 billion naira would be reduced from agencies proposed for abolition, about 100.6 billion naira from agencies proposed for mergers, about 6.6 billion naira from professional bodies, 489.9 billion naira from universities, 50.9 billion naira from polytechnics, 32.6 billion naira from colleges of education, and 616 million from boards of federal medical centers. They argued, however, that the White Paper Committee set up by Jonathan's administration rejected most of the recommendations, while those accepted were not implemented. The House notes that in November 2021, the President Muhammadu Buhari administration inaugurated two committees. One of the committees, chaired by Goni Aji, a retired head of civil service of the Federation, was to review the Oronsaye report, and the second committee, chaired by Ama Pepo, also a retired head of civil service of the Federation, was constituted to review agencies created between 2014 and 2021. The House also notes that upon submission of their reports, the Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government in July 2022 set up another committee chaired by Ebele Okeke, a former head of civil service of the Federation, to produce a paperwork on the reports. The lawmakers said implementing the Oronsaye report 12 years after it was made without first reviewing it might not be in the best interest of the nation, because by now the report ordinarily may be described as outdated, especially because of how dynamic the society, economy, polity, technology, and all facets of the national life has become. Contrary to the assumption that the full implementation of the report will reduce cost of governance with the current realities, the full implementation of the report will not substantially reduce the cost of governance, as it does not reflect the current situation in the public service of the Federation. The lawmakers stress that a full implementation will certainly throw up unintended consequences, implications, and outcomes. Following the adoption of the motion, the House urged President Bola Tinubu to comprehensively review the 2012 Oronsaye report, the Goni Aji report, which reviewed the Oronsaye report, the white paper released by former President Jonathan administration, the Ama Pepo white paper, and the Ebele Okeke white paper, in line with the current realities, while considering implementable alternatives that are in tune with current realities and which at the same time would have minimum unintended consequences, impact, implications, and outcomes. The House also urged the federal government to develop the implement policies that will reposition the agricultural sector, the solid mineral sector, and the informal sectors, which will serve as alternatives to those that may be laid off consequentially, while at the same time spurring economic growth. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, who presided over plenary on Thursday, inaugurated a 23-man committee chaired by House Leader Julius Ihonvere to recommend appropriate measures to mitigate the likely fallout of the review exercise. The committee is to study the recommendation of the executive arm of government and advise the House on likely impacts of this restructuring exercise.
Examine the recommendation by the executive on the restructuring of federal agencies and commissions, recommend legislation to accommodate the proposals, liaise with the affected agencies and commissions on all issues related to the proposed reforms.
Best Orator, reporting for BTV News.